Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Community Services Commission meeting. It is March 11, 2024. The time is 6 o'clock p.m. Please stand for the flag salute. All righty. Next up, we have our roll call. Isabel Aguilera will call roll. Thank you, Isabel.
Commissioner Castro.
Here.
Commissioner Audi.
Here.
Commissioner Sizemore. Vice Chair Hawks.
Here.
Chairperson Kingsburg.
Here.
Okay, so we have 4 commissioners present with an excused absence from Commissioner Sizemore.
All right. Thank you for that, Isabel. Okay, next on our agenda is public comments. Do we have any public comments submitted for tonight?
No public comments.
No public comments. Okay. All right. Well, we will move on then. We are going to flip our agenda a bit. We do have some guests tonight, and so rather than do our division reports first, we will do those a little bit later, and we are going to start with our business items, and we're going to actually start with business item B, which is the finance department, and they look like they are here in force. So thank you guys for coming out. We are going to be receiving a budget engagement session and be providing general recommendations. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. So I believe we've met before here, but we will just jump right in. So our budget engagement sessions are held each year in the beginning of our budget process to gather feedback from each of the city's commissions and provide this feedback to the council throughout the budget process, and we'll be presenting it at the budget workshop in May. So we'll jump right in. So tonight our budget team will be presenting and provide a brief overview of the city's budget process. We'll provide highlights of our current budget, and we'll discuss and share the results of the Quality of Life Master Plan survey. So our budget team consists of myself, Assistant Finance Director Ward Comers, Fiscal Services Manager Paula Majors, who's primarily responsible for the coordination of the Capital Improvement Program budget, and Catlin Dorsett, who is responsible for the coordination of the annual operating budget. So we'll first jump into the budget process, and I'm going to turn it over to Catlin, who's going to walk you through our process.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Catlin, so I'm going to walk you through our budget process. So our annual budget process begins in January of each year when we update the current year's budget with our mid-year update. So we've just completed that a couple months ago. Also in January, we do our revenue forecast for the coming fiscal year and then create a preliminary 5-year projection, which serves as a foundation for the next year's annual operating budget. In February, our departments will submit their requests for the coming fiscal year, and the council approves any of the mid-year budget requests. In March, we hold the budget engagement sessions with the various city commissions, much like we're doing this evening. And we have department review meetings with all of our internal departments that have submitted AOB requests. In April, the finance department budget team will develop the proposed operating and capital budgets, which we then present at our May budget workshop to our city council members. And then in June, the City Council will adopt the final operating and capital improvement project budgets. This year, though, that will actually be held in May. So there are various factors that guide the city's budget, including the Quality of Life Master Plan, feedback from all of our city commissions, and prior year programs and projects that are not yet completed and need to be carried over to the next fiscal year. Program and services master plans, including the Senior Services Master Plan and the Multi-Use Trails and Bikeways Master Plan, as well as the city council policies, all of which help shape the recommendations for the operating and CIP budgets. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our Fiscal Services Manager, Paula Majors. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. The Capital Improvement Program is a comprehensive 5-year plan that addresses the capital needs of the city. Capital projects are those that cost over $30,000, have long-term lifespans, and are generally non-recurring. The fiscal years 24 through 28 CIP is the largest in the city's history, with $819 million in total cost. The city has identified funding sources totaling $606 million, or 74% of the total CIP. The remaining $213 million is unspecified at this time. However, before construction begins on any of these projects, a funding source will be identified. This evening, we would like to highlight a few of our CIP projects. French Valley Parkway Phase 2. This $138 million project is currently under construction and is estimated to be completed in May of 2025. This project will alleviate the bottleneck on northbound I-15 between Winchester Road and the I-215 junction. The Las Haciendas Affordable Housing Project is located off Jefferson Avenue. Includes the construction of a 77-unit affordable multi-family housing community. The project includes $10 million in city funding. All units are leased for buildings 1 and 2, and building occupancy has begun for building 1. Construction on the I-15 Congestion Relief Project, a $9.2 million auxiliary lane between Temecula Parkway and Rancho California Road, is scheduled to begin soon and is expected to be complete in October 2024. At the meeting of 2/29/24, Council approved the authorization to solicit construction bids for the pickleball courts project, which includes 17 dedicated courts located at the Ronald Reagan Sports Park. The $3.3 million project is estimated to take approximately 4 months to complete. The Ronald Reagan Sports Park hockey rink is a $2 million project that recently went to bid and is being evaluated by Public Works. The project will include a complete renovation of the hockey rink to install new flooring material and roof structure, bleachers, and various ADA compliance improvements. I'd like to turn the presentation over to our Director of Finance, Jennifer Hennessy, who will discuss the city's annual operating budget and the debt liability paydown status.
Thank you, Paula. All righty. So the city follows the city follows fund accounting principles, which requires our revenues and our expenditures to be accounted for in separate and distinct funds. And while we have over 70 different funds, tonight we'll just focus on the main operating funds. First of which is the general fund. So the general fund is the city's largest primary operating fund, and its revenues are considered unrestricted so long as they're spent for a public purpose. And you can see here from the slide that our fiscal year 23-24 general fund revenue is projected to come in just over $108 million. It's actually a decrease from the prior year, as we're seeing in most every aspect of our economy. We are seeing a slowdown. About 44% of the general fund revenue comes from sales tax, and of that, about 28% comes from new auto sales. So as we're seeing interest rates rise, we're seeing fewer auto sales, thus less sales tax. You can also see that we're having a fairly large decrease of almost 27% in our license and permits, and this revenue source comes from the various building permits, plan checks, all the development-related activity. And we are seeing a slowdown currently in the development sector, so we're seeing some declines there. And then finally, you can see that property tax is actually growing. However, property tax is delayed about 12 to 18 months. But we are still seeing a pretty strong housing market, so property tax is holding its own, thankfully, right now. The general fund operating expenditures, this is the funding for the majority of the operations of the city. You can see that a little over half, or 54%, is dedicated to public safety. The police budget is about $41.7 million. And then the fire budget, it shows up here as 11.7. That's the city's portion. And then the county puts in another 11 million from the structural fire tax. So the total fire budget's roughly 23 million. The administration budget, which makes up about 15% of the general fund, that includes the city council, city manager's office, city attorney, city clerk, finance, HR, all of those administrative type departments are all rolled up into that budgetary figure there. Public works makes up about 21%, and community development about 9% of the general fund. And then the non-departmental category is other miscellaneous charges, but it's showing a decrease because that's where we're showing the pension savings that we're achieving with the pay down strategy that we'll discuss in a few moments. So this slide illustrates revenues and expenditures of the general fund, and it shows the trends over a 10-year period. The main takeaway from this slide is that the revenues, which show in the line on the chart, is exceeding the expenditures in each year, and that indicates that we are structurally balanced, not only in the current year, but throughout the 5-year forecast. And then this chart shows the trend in fund balance, which the fund balance is essentially the savings at the end of a year within the general fund. So it's accumulated savings. Currently, we're looking at a fund balance projection of about $35.9 million. Now, per our budget policies, we're supposed to keep 25% of our operating expenditures set aside for emergency reserves, and that's what's shown on the chart in the yellow diamond, so the $24.1 million. So it does show that throughout the 5-year period, we will meet our reserves, and in the next few years, we'll exceed those reserves. Now, you can see since 21-22, that blue bar has steadily declined. And that is because we've strategically been paying off debt and paying down our unfunded liabilities through a strategy that was adopted by the council a few years ago. So Measure S is our other large operating fund. Again, its revenue is discretionary, but we account for it in a separate fund for maximized transparency. Measure S is the 1 cent sales tax that was adopted back in approved by the voters back in 2016, and it became effective the following year. And at that time, the council created what we called the Measure S appropriation guidelines, and that's basically a prioritized list of where to spend these tax dollars. The first of which is public safety, and the $5.4 million that's shown here is the amount necessary to keep our public safety staffing levels up to pace with population growth. And what's included in that $5.4 million, it's a transfer to the general fund to support the police and fire department, and it pays for 11 police officers, the fire station, 95 staffing, as well as the future replacement of the ladder truck that was recently acquired a couple years ago. The second priority is called asset management, and what these are little reserve accounts, think of them as little savings accounts, to build up enough balance so that we can replace assets when they end their useful life, when they come to the end of their useful life. So we have asset management funds set up for technology, for facilities, for our fleet and equipment, as well as our copiers and street maintenance. And each year we utilize Measure S monies to deposit into those accounts to build up adequate balance so that we can replace assets when need be. And then the third priority is the capital improvement program projects. From the looks of this chart, it looks like it's the highest priority because the majority of it is dedicated to there, but that's the accumulation of several years of rollovers as capital projects take many years to complete. So it's a buildup of capital project funding over the several years. And then finally, community services, shown here, 20% of Measure S goes towards the TCSD fund. And the TCSD fund is actually a separate legal entity than the city. It's the Temecula Community Services District, and it's made up of TCSD operations, the library fund, and then several service level funds. But focusing on TCSD operations, revenue is projected to be just under 18 million this fiscal year. And it's mostly supported by that transfer from general fund we just mentioned. That makes up 74% of the total revenue for TCSD operations. And then Measure C, which is the parcel tax that was approved back in 1997, that contributes just under 2 million to revenue. And then the rest comes from program revenues, which are the fees and charges that we get for, aquatics classes, theater, sports, facility rentals, day camp, things of that nature. So that brings in about 2.8 million in revenue. And then the TCSD expenditures will total just over 18 million for this year. And they're divided into these separate divisions that are tracked separately. They have their own distinct budgets. The top one, the TCSD operations budget, 4.5 million, that includes the internal service fund allocations for all of the divisions. So it's all just kind of lumped into that one that makes that budget look so much bigger. And that allocation is about 2.3 million. So we've mentioned a couple times about this debt paydown strategy, and this was adopted by our city council back in December of 22. And the goal was to have all of our facility loans and our OPEB and pension unfunded liabilities be totally paid off and 100% funded in a 7-year time frame. And part of the strategy is we relook at the overall plan twice a year, during mid-year and during the budget cycle, to see if it's still feasible or if there needs to be adjustments. And when we looked at this during the mid-year, we were happy to report that the Civic Center loan of 12.6 million has been paid in full. The Margarita Recreation Center loan of 5 million, paid in full. And then the OPEB, or other post-employment benefits, which is a big long phrase for retiree health benefit. That liability was originally projected to be 5 million, and then each year there's a valuation report that updates it and recalculates that liability, and it was reduced down to 3.25 million, and we paid that one in full. So that leaves the pension liability. This is our CalPERS retirement for all city employees that are part of the CalPERS system. And when we developed the plan back in 22, the overall unfunded liability was 52 million. And then the annual valuation report that was updated increased it to 61.7 million. This report is done every year by CalPERS, and it adjusts this unfunded liability amount depending on things like investment returns that CalPERS earns, payroll cost, and mortality rates. So our pension liability at 61.7, we've paid off nearly 22 million so far, and we have factored into our 5-year forecast these payments each year for the next 5 years in order to reach that goal of being debt-free in 7 years. So with that, once we do become debt-free, we will save on an annual basis roughly $5 to $6 million a year in the general fund, and we will have saved over $30 million in accrued interest on the pension itself. So with that, I will turn it over to Ward Comers, who's going to walk you through the survey results.
Get adjusted here. Now it's time for the boring part. Just kidding. Thank you, Commissioners. Ward Comers, Assistant Finance Director. As part of the fiscal year 24-25 budget process, each of the city's commissions is being asked to provide feedback on prioritizing the goals for each of the core values that are identified in the city's QLMP. So you may be asking, what is the QLMP? Well, the QLMP is the city's quality of life master plan. It is the city's 20-year strategic plan that defines the city's vision and 7 core values. It also prioritizes goals for each of the core values for 2040, and then it helps to guide budget decisions for operating and capital improvements. All departments within the city have performance measures that are identified in the budget, and they are all linked to core values within the QLMP. And every capital improvement project is also linked to a QLMP core value. Just a reminder about what the 7 core values that are included in the QLMP. There's a safe and prepared community, transportation, mobility, and connectivity, healthy and livable city, economic prosperity, sustainable and resilient city, accountable and responsible city government, and equity. Now on to the survey. Again, we conducted a survey of all the commissions to get feedback on the budget. So we surveyed community services, traffic safety, planning, and the Ready Commission. Each of the core values that we just went over has several goals identified for 2040. And so we asked each commissioner to prioritize those goals for each of the values. And then in addition, there's a citizens 20-year priority timeline of capital improvement projects. So there's 51 capital improvement projects included in the QLMP. 16 of those projects remain to be planned. So we asked the commissioners to rank the top 5 unplanned projects. And lastly, the survey results will be shared with the City Council. So core value 1, safe and prepared community goals for 2040. On the left-hand side, those are the priorities or the goals, that are identified in the QLMP. And on the right-hand side, those are the results of the survey average. So the top item is the top priority. So you can see that ensure funding for public safety, that's the top priority. And tied for the top place is continue to be one of the safest cities in California and the nation. And then you can see the rest of the goals there. So now time for the fancy blue X's. The blue X's are the results of the Community Services Commission. So you can see that the Community Services Commission prioritized the goals fairly closely to the rest of the commission. We'll move on to the second core value, which is transportation, mobility, and connectivity. Again, the goals are on the left-hand side, and the survey averages are on the right. The top priority is to maintain and improve roadway network. The second priority is to promote job growth. And then you can see the rest of the goals there and how they're prioritized. And then how the Community Service Commission ranked these goals, again, very close. You can see there's a little difference there between the survey average. So your commission prioritized enhanced transportation a little bit lower than the average, but also ranked some of the other priorities a little bit higher. Under the third core value, again, the goals are on the left, and then the ranking on the right. So the top goal is supporting a healthy and active lifestyle. Second is being a sustainable community. And then the rest of the goals, Community Services Commission, again, ranked very close to the other commissions. Moving on to core value number 4, which is economic prosperity. Goals on the left. You're starting to understand what I'm talking about now, right? Goals on the left, survey on the right. Top priority is encouraging broadening of higher education opportunities. Second is entrepreneurial culture. Here's the Community Services Commission results. Here we've got a little bit of a change between the average and the survey average and the Community Services Commission. So your commission ranked entrepreneurial culture a little bit lower than the average and protecting natural resources higher. So if we just ranked these on your commission, the bottom goal would be second and the second goal would be last. Moving on to core value number 5, sustainable and resilient city. Goals are on the left, results are on the right. Top goal is ensuring safe and sufficient water supplies. Second goal is be the most sustainable city in Southern California. Your commission's results, again, very close. The bottom two would probably, or would switch order if we were looking at just your commission alone. Core value number 6, accountable and responsive city. The goals are on the left, results are on the right. Top goal is provide consistent professional services. We got a 2-way tie there for the next one, maintaining a flexible organization and ensuring transparency. Your commission's results, again, very close. The bottom two would switch order if we were just looking at your results. On to core value number 7, which is equity. Goals are on the left, results are on the right. So the top goal is supporting fair and equitable treatment of all human beings. Second is fostering a healthy environment. Community Services Commission results, again, very close. The last question of the survey was to select the top 5 projects that are unfunded or unplanned right now. So these on the left are the top 16, or excuse me, the 16 unplanned projects. And then the priorities. So priority, a tie for the top 1 is Murrieta Creek Bridge and acquiring fire station number 12. And then we have a 4-way tie for the Western Bypass Corridor. That gets my top vote because I would take that on a daily basis. Southside Senior Center, Climate Action Plan, and the complete Temecula Loop Trail. So we're drawing the line of the top 5 there. And then your commission's results, a little bit different than the survey average. So your commission basically ranked these top 6. You had the Murrieta Creek Bridge. You basically had a 4-way tie for the top: Murrieta Creek Bridge, Southside Senior Center, Climate Action Plan, Temecula Loop Trail. And then your next 2 would be the Western Bypass, which is my favorite, and then the Olympic-sized swimming pool. And that concludes my portion of the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ward. So that actually concludes our total presentation, but we are available for any questions you might have. I know in the prior years, we've asked you questions, but this year, we did it via the survey. So if you'd like to go back and look at any of those slides, we're happy to do that, or just open it up for questions.
Okay, well, thank you very much, all of you. Appreciate all you did and shared. Tons of information, lots to digest. We'll go ahead and go down the line. Commissioner Castro, do you want to begin?
Sure. Great briefing. As a budget person, I'm pretty impressed with how you guys have the budget set up and that you're able to reduce the debt and maintain a nice buffer for savings. I had a few questions. You said you did a mid-year review. How are you doing on this year's budget and execution?
What we presented earlier in the budget slides, those were our mid-year budget. So we are showing that revenues are coming in lower than originally projected, so we've made that correction. And then expenditures are holding steady. We actually did have quite a few reductions in our expenditure budgets as well. So we're able to maintain that balanced budget within the general fund.
You're not seeing significant overruns on any of the projects?
On the CIP projects, there was one project that is coming in higher, so we were allocating additional funds to that. That was, I think it was the Nicholas Road multi-use trail, something like that.
Okay.
Don't
But
have the
nothing
exact
that's gonna
title.
stop it from being executed?
No.
Okay. On the Las Haciendas funding, there was 10 million from the city. Who else was funding that?
The rest of it will be private funding. So
Oh,
through
okay.
tax credits, the developer themselves goes out and secures the remainder of the funding. But we utilized some of our former redevelopment agency bonds that are for low-income housing, low and moderate-income housing, and then we used an additional $4 million, I believe it was for this project, from the Community Reinvestment Program.
So there was no funding from the county?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
We had people here that were very interested in low-income housing, so I just want to keep the numbers in my
I
head.
can confirm that real quick here.
I think Commissioner Castro's question speaks to some of the same individuals and public comments we've seen at council regarding housing. And I know there's been some information provided to council members so that they can be prepared with answers for those questions when they come in from the public comments.
Okay.
So I'm
yeah.
wondering if we might be able to just get some of that same information to you
Yeah,
as well.
That's fine.
Yeah, I misspoke. The 4 million is actually for a different affordable housing project from the CRP program. That's for the Vine Creek. So Las Haciendas, there's about 9 million from the affordable housing project and about 500,000 from the Uptown Temecula New Streets in Luffy.
On the general fund, it went from, I think, it went down 6 or 7 million. It seemed like the bulk of that reduction came from other. What was other?
On the revenue slide,
Yes.
let's go back and look. Most of it is going to probably be transfers from other funds. Guess I could have done this a quicker way, but transfers in, no. The biggest one, I'm trying to think what the biggest portion of that would be. I think the biggest portion of that is the fact that we still were in the year prior, we were still receiving the ARPA funds. So we received 7 million across 2 years, and 22-23 was the second year of that. So it's probably categorized in that other, and that's why it went down.
Okay.
We
So-
received all of it last
So
year.
basically, when you look at that, or at least the way I look at it, is most of the other ones balanced in and out, but your outside funds went down 7 million? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, the more concerning ones on this slide, even though they might balance each other out, is the trend that we're seeing. So with sales tax coming down, that's a little bit concerning. And then development activity also a little bit concerning. We have a lot of development projects in the pipeline, but they're pushed out several years just because of the cost of materials, interest rates, all those things in the economy that are causing developers to pause right now.
Can you go to the next slide? I wrote my note and I don't even remember what it was. The S fund slide?
Measure S?
Yes. There was a significant increase in the capital projects, and you said that was things coming in from one year to the next.
Right, so we carry over, if a project is appropriated, let's say the pickleball courts were appropriated $3 million. If they don't complete that project, that will carry over into the next year's budget, and it just, all the carryovers. So the 69 million is an accumulation of projects that have been appropriated, but not yet spent. So we just carry that budget until it's spent.
That makes sense. And then on the TCSD revenue, and that's considered as a separate entity, are they breaking even with what comes in on the revenue generated for those specific issues, like with the theater and the classes, or is that subsidized?
Well, it's subsidized heavily by Measure S.
Okay.
And that's the largest portion of where the TCSD operations comes from.
Okay.
is the Measure S, just to keep those. And it's been a strategic decision by past councils to keep the the fees for classes and all of the programs that TCSD provides to keep them at an affordable level.
On a division-by-division basis, probably the one with the least subsidy would be contract classes, because when we contract with instructors, we take in the gross revenue, we keep 30%, we give them 70%. So if you're not factoring in the burden, the overhead, all the indirect costs associated with that, that one would be in the black. But of course, once you factor all of that in, just maintaining the buildings and staffing and so forth, even that one would be subsidized. And generally speaking, the more private benefit that accrues from a service, the more you expect you would be closer to cost recovery.
Yeah.
And the more public benefit that accrues, the more you would expect there to be more subsidy. It's like a library, for instance, all public benefit,
Yeah.
you know.
No, I just wanted, if I'm asked questions, I want to be able to say how important Measure S is to having a lot of the
Got it,
services
thank
that
you.
people really want in the community, especially the contract classes, because that's what people use for, you know, summer and holiday daycare or, you know, childcare. Thank you very much. I appreciate all the information.
Sure.
All right, Commissioner Adi?
Thank you, Director Hennessy and Ward, Jennifer, Catlin, for some great information, as always. I know you have to do this a lot, so appreciate your time and don't want to keep you too long. So I'd just like to make a couple positive comments about just in, you know, going through some tough times here the last few years, how you've sustained it. Just super impressed with the paying off the debt and how close we can get to that last item on that checklist. Is just a tribute to your division and the other divisions, the hard work that they put in to crunch those numbers and get the services out to the community. Lastly, I would like to use the example of our last QLMP was a 20-year plan. We completed it in 10 years, and that is a tribute to our councils, our city manager, and your department. So thanks again for keeping us on track and solvent and give us the ability to do great things in our city.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Adi. Vice Chair Hawks?
Thank you, Jennifer, for you and your team, and I agree with Commissioner Audi for all the hard work you do. And just one quick question for the survey, that now that those 6 top priorities are identified, does that mean that we're going to continue with those top 6?
Right, so what we're going to do is part of the budget process, we're going to share that not only with internal staff as we build the CIP and make recommendations to the council, but we'll incorporate a summary level that the full council will see the results of the survey. And, you know, we'll see through the budget process if some of those items make it in to the 5-year CIP. So I did neglect to say that, so our CIP covers a span of 5 years. And then in the CIP document, we keep a list of what we call future projects. And all of those items that showed up in the survey are listed on the future projects. So right now, they're outside of the scope of the 5 years. But what we want to be able to do is inform the council and staff as to what the priorities are that you all are seeing out in your areas of the community, so that we can then start looking for funding and identifying funding and bringing those in within that programmed 5-year CIP.
Do you have to wait for the current project to finish?
Not necessarily. It's more of a restriction on funding availability. So what we would do is we would look at each of those projects and see what available funding there might be. In several cases, depending on the project, we might go after grants. That might take some time. So it's kind of project by project specific. But we'll share these results with the CIP team and see if there's any of them that they want to make recommendations to bring into the CIP for the council to consider in May.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, great job of making something that's complex. Budgets by nature seem to be complex to most of us, especially a budget of over $100 million. But just a couple of things. Then also the other thing I wanted to do, I wanted to double up on the strategy you guys have had about paying the pension liability debt pay down. Very, very well done. The 20% to TCSD, you mentioned that's fixed. Is that like something that's reauthorized every year by the council?
Yeah, so what we do with the TCSD fund being its own separate budget, what we do is we utilize Measure S to subsidize enough, we transfer in enough revenue into the TCSD fund so that we have about $100,000 remaining in fund balance. It's just an arbitrary number, but it allows for any, unforeseen overruns or costs that might come in, or reductions in revenue that may come in a year. So we basically recalculate each year what the Measure S transfer in will be, and it's enough to keep about $100,000 in fund balance. So the council does revisit it every year, actually twice a year, because we look at it at the mid-year cycle as well.
But a good deal of this Measure S funding, a good deal of TCSD funding comes from Measure S.
Absolutely.
And so that's important for us to know.
Right.
Again, as Commissioner Castro sort of alluded to, that as far as that tax goes, that the
Right.
voters approved. The other question I had was just as far as the French Valley Parkway Phase 2, the cost of that versus the cost of the I-15 congestion. I know not projects aren't exactly alike. I do recall hearing about federal funding or federal grants for the
Oh, yeah.
the I-15. Is that why it's so
Yes.
minimal compared to what it probably could be?
Well, the French Valley Parkway, and I'm no engineer, but from what I've heard, I mean, number one, it's taken about 20 years to accumulate the funds to do that
Okay.
project, and obviously you've had some cost escalation over those years. But we were successful in obtaining a $50 million federal grant through the infra grant. That's almost unheard of, a city our size to be successful in that level of grant. So that's what brought us over the hump, so that we had all the funding now necessary to start that project. So that's why they've finally been able to execute on that project. And then the I-15 congestion project, that's just one leg. It's it's going to be a multi-phased project, but the first phase, we have funding from the city, from Pachanga, and then from Caltrans through grants to construct that first phase, and then Caltrans is doing, I believe, the next 3 phases, which would be the next leg from Rancho Cal up to Winchester, and then on the southbound side, they're gonna do auxiliary lanes adjacent to those same auxiliary lanes going forward. So a lot of construction on the 15 for a while, but hopefully it'll be good.
It's positive to see so many multiple efforts going toward alleviating that concern that affects a lot of people. Well, thank you guys again so much. Appreciate you spending time with us tonight.
Great. Well, thank you very much. You guys have a nice evening. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, so moving on, we are going to go to our other business item, which is to receive and file a capital improvement plan or CIP update for the fiscal years 2024 to 2028. We have Mike Wooten, Community Services Manager, here with us tonight. Thank you, Mike.
Good evening, Commissioners. How y'all doing? I'm gonna set this down and all right. When those hurricane winds started blowing here, my bald head got a little cold. I'm trying not to shiver through this presentation. Okay, so again, good evening, Commissioners. I'm happy to be providing the following update on CIP projects that impact our department. These updates will be pretty high level, and while the information provided is the most up to date, a lot can happen that may impact these timelines. So as we go through these slides, just please keep in mind that, that these dates may change from what's shown here. So with that, jumping right into the projects, the first one that we'll be updating you on is the pickleball courts that are going to be installed at the site of the current Upper South Field at Ronald Reagan, also known as the Pit. This project will include 17 lit pickleball courts, parking and portable restrooms. Design for this is mostly complete. The 100% plans have been done. I know there's some feedback on some of the minor details that they're still working through. And then construction is anticipated to begin this summer, with the completion likely in September or October and open to the public during that final quarter of this year. The next project is the hockey rink renovation at Ronald Reagan Sports Park. This project will include the installation of new flooring material and an arena-style roof, along with some ADA improvements. So 2 proponents were recently interviewed for this project. Both of them came in quite a bit over budget, so Public Works is going to reissue a new RFP, a request for proposals, with a higher price and let these 2 proponents resubmit their bids. And then from there, the hope is to award a contract in April, then begin the design phase shortly after that. Construction would then likely begin the end of this year, first part of 2025, and that will take about 9 to 10 months to complete. So the hope is that it will be reopened by summer or fall of next year. And then sticking with Ronald Reagan Sports Park, the next project is the very highly anticipated skate park renovation. So this project has had multiple community meetings where some very needed feedback was provided by the public. And after last month's community meeting where there was overwhelming support for the latest design, it was then approved by the Parks and Rec Subcommittee. And the next steps on this will be to finalize the design, which should be by November of this year. Then construction is expected to be from March to December of next year, with an opening to the public that winter. And that's, I don't know if you all have seen the most recent design concept, but this is from the most recent one that was approved by subcommittee. Okay, next is the Harvesting Community Park building renovation and expansion. So this project includes the expansion of the classrooms, a dedicated check-in counter, a storage room, and bringing the facility up to current ADA standards, and is still currently in the design phase. But that should wrap up around July of this year. And then after that, Public Works expects construction to begin around November and then completed by November of 2025 or the end of 2025, and opening up to the public the following month or shortly thereafter. And so this one, I'm not sure if you all are familiar with that building there. It's a pretty small building, so it'll be quite a bit a bigger building that will fit into that spot right there.
Essentially, right now, that building is just one room. I don't know if any of you have been in it, but it's a single room, and then it has 2 restrooms on the outside, open to the public who use the fields, and then a small restroom inside. And this expansion will about double the square footage, and it will create 2 additional rooms, plus like a lobby area and interior bathrooms. So super exciting. It'll allow us to expand. It'll be contract classes over there, so.
All right, so next is the CRC renovations. So the CRC is currently in the design process for phase 2 of the renovations. And as a recap, phase 1 included restroom and shower access and upgrades, ADA compliance, new flooring, repair, maintenance, and updating of the facility to current standards. Phase 2, as I said, still in the design phase, but it will likely include the expansion of the aquatics and CRC offices and break areas, adding family-style restrooms, expansion and reconfiguration of the teen center, additional storage, a new fitness and computer room, and a new foyer for the gym. Construction for this phase is planned to begin in the fall of next year and then completed and open to the public, hopefully by summer, possibly fall of 2026. All right, and then sticking at the CRC, the next project is the new splash pad that's being installed next to the pool. This project will convert the existing kiddie pool area into a splash pad and also provide additional shade structures throughout the pool area. Project actually kicked off today, and completion on this is scheduled for September of this year. Couple more. Okay, and near the new Margarita Rec Center at Mike Nagar Community Park, the city will be moving the existing dog park from an underused, low visibility area to the large grass area behind the pickleball courts and a hockey rink. So it's a 24,000 square foot dog park, and it'll include small and large dog pens, seating, drinking fountains, shade, and an agility dog course feature in addition to ADA access. So design is complete on this project, and it's tentatively scheduled for construction to be from April to June of this year and open to the public this summer. Okay, and playground renovations. So we had 4 projects playgrounds that were completed this fiscal year, and that included Red Hawk Community Park, Long Canyon Creek, Temecula Creek Trail Park, and Calle Aragon, which had its ribbon cutting just this morning. And so for next fiscal year, the Ronald Reagan Playground will be the only replacement. And staff plans to bring a few ideas to the Park and Rec Subcommittee next month to get some guidance on which direction to go to make sure it's a truly unique playground. And then from there, it's expected that the design phase will be done this summer and construction beginning around September and hopefully open to the public by the end of the year. Okay, and then again, sticking with the Ronald Reagan Sports Park, a lot of construction going on over there over the next couple years. Will be the new multi-use trail system that's being planned in the hills between the sports park and Pablo Road. And so we recently had one community meeting, which I know a couple of you were at, and an initial survey went out to the public for feedback. That survey has since been pulled, and we're going to create a more robust list of questions to better help guide the design of the trail, and that will be released in the near future. So this project is expected to go through the design phase through November before beginning construction next spring. However, very tentative on the dates at this point. Additional community meetings will obviously need to be held just to ensure that it's done in a way that reflects the community's preferences and priorities here. And then finally, we come to the very exciting, yet further down the road, Uptown Sports Park. So this sports park will be located on flood control property at the corner of Cherry Street and Jefferson. Still very, very early in the planning phases, but the plan for now is for 13 to 16 lit soccer fields, which can be used for multiple sports, walking paths, and parking to accommodate approximately 100 spots per field, which will be needed for tournament play. Additionally, the sports park will allow us to repurpose existing multi-use fields, such as those at Ronald Reagan and Paloma del Sol, to year-round baseball or softball fields, which will increase overall field inventory for those sports. And that's been mentioned as a need in our community services master plan. And so currently this project's on hold due to flood control budgeting and planning, and construction won't be able to start until fiscal year 25-26 at the earliest, possibly even after that. And so that concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you'll have.
All right, well, thank you, Mike, for that update. We'll go ahead and see if commissioners have any questions or comments. So this time I'd like to start with Vice Chair Hawks.
Thank you, Mike, for the update. I have 3 questions. For the CRC, I didn't remember seeing anything about the multi-purpose room. Is that being
So that was part of
remodeled?
the phase 1 renovations.
Okay.
So new flooring, that was part of really flooring throughout. That was the
Okay.
main thing that was done in the multi-purpose room. Underneath, they had to redo the concrete. There was really water underneath the building, so they had to redo the flooring there. There is future plans for the MPR there with some more shade structures outside and really making it an indoor-outdoor space. But currently, that's planned for phase 3. So there's 3 phases for the CRC renovations.
Okay, thank you. And for the 17 soccer field, you just mentioned that Uptown Park. I'm wondering, is there any restriction or consideration about the water? Because last year, a lot of parks we were asked to convert it turf to those water-saving mulch. So this, now you're having 17 soccer field that'll use tons of water.
Sure. Well, so the reason it was all going to be grass is at the time, which I think some things have changed with flood control, they're going through, again, they're planning on that, but that was supposed to be a detention basin. So really, if Marietta Creek floods, that would be the detention basin for really overflow. And so grass was the only thing that would be allowed there. And at the with that same issue, they didn't want any facilities, so any buildings, restrooms, or anything like that. There may be some things changing where they may allow us to construct a little bit more. There has been some discussions about artificial turf fields. I don't think it would be the majority. And the problem with that, from a large area like that, not a problem, but a consideration is if you do the artificial turf field, you're pretty much stuck with that sport, you know, where if it's an open grass area, and obviously water is a huge concern. It allows, you know, a lot more multi-use, so you can have football, rugby, lacrosse, in addition to soccer. So, again, there has been some talk about possibly some turf fields, but no decisions have been made on that yet.
Okay. Yeah, I like the grass idea, and I think it, like you said, it can use for other projects or sports. And for the turf, it'll be hard to maintain, I think, or probably higher cost down the road.
They're pretty expensive to put in, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Commissioner Adi?
Thanks, Mike. That was awesome. It's so exciting to see all the projects, you know, on the tail of the budget report, and really seeing what's happening in our division is great. So appreciate that. I was just kind of ask a question, and maybe Erica could chime in on it. But you said that the renovation at Ronald Reagan Sports Park for the playground equipment goes to the subcommittee, the Parks and Rec subcommittee. And then if you look at some of these other projects, you've got the sports park trails, again, the Uptown Sports Park, you know, just a lot of things that I would like to see come to this commission also. For input and information, a little more detailed information on those projects, so we can have a two-way with our community before it does get to Parks and Rec. And I know that we are an advisory committee, but would sure love to have our commission send up some of our information and advisory status to them.
Definitely. I think this is the most CIP projects that have ever been kind of under the TCSD umbrella, and we are really looking forward to getting a lot of opportunity for you to provide feedback on those. For Ronald Reagan, for the play structure, we'll be going to Parks and Rec first, because I know that they have some pretty specific visions they want us to follow up on in a broad sense in terms of like thematic ideas. And once we receive that direction, then we'll be going out to the different companies, getting their kind of take on what that vision looks like, and then we'll be bringing those back to you to provide some input on.
Great. That's super. I really appreciate it. Thanks again, Mike.
So,
Commissioner Castro?
Great briefing, thank you. I had a couple questions. I know on the skate park and the hockey rink, you had the formal feedback community. I went to a couple of those, but I never saw one for the pickleball courts. Has there been, what kind of public input have you gotten on the pickleball courts?
So there wasn't the community meetings that we had for the same way as with the skate park and hockey rink so far. So there was some feedback obviously provided by the pickleball community, and right now they've reached back out to them. There's been some communication with them to make sure that their feedback is involved, you know, the people that are going to be using the facility. Unfortunately, it doesn't sound like it had the same community meetings as the others in the past, though, but they are still working through some of those details to make sure that, you know, the pickleball community, which is, you know, very active and a big community in the area, that they're pleased with everything. So,
Do they have a formal group, or is it, how do you know who to talk to?
the exact people, I believe it's from, as it started with some of our contract instructors, and then really kind of the people that they're involved with as well. So people that have a little bit of a relationship with, you know, with the city and instructing classes and things like that.
You know,
We also have another commissioner on a different commission whose spouse is very involved in pickleball, and they shared some of their input. And then one of the engineers on the project is actually an enthusiast, so he was in a social media group. So I think there was some outreach, but it was very informal, and it was very kind of organic. So it took place through, you know, people know people who have contacts, who have questions and comments, and then on social media. And I think what was missing from this process is what you saw with the skate park, which was a formal community forum with 3 iterations, with the consultant being present. So I think, I think it was a bit of a gap on this project.
Yeah, I saw the mayor posted about the construction and where it was, and there was a number of comments on, people responding, and some of it was your general unhappiness you get no matter if you were giving them free money, they would still complain. But there was a lot of, some very good feedback in those comments for things to change. So that's why I was wondering if there was and we do have one of the commissioners on this commission who was a avid pickleball waving lunatic type person. So, just joking with, I think, I saw that the pickleball court was gonna be done before the other 2 projects, and I think that was, if we had to expedite the process, I think that was a good idea, because I know that that's probably the most wanted thing going on right now.
It's up there, I would say so, yeah. And really, the timeline's a lot quicker than the other projects as well, too. So, and it's something that's just really, I think, been in the planning phase sooner. So I think a couple factors led to it being the first domino to really fall there.
Okay. And then one other last question, with the CRC phases, will that require shutting down the facility to do those phase 2, 3, and 4, or what will be the impact when those are done?
So we've been talking with the engineers. We're hoping to not close a facility like we did with phase 1 to the same extent. There will definitely be some sort of impact, but the aquatics offices, it's basically a new building being built behind where they currently are. So we don't think that will need to close a facility down. Some of the other things, as far as the CRC office or teen zone, we're hoping they can phase those, the whole project in to limit how much the facility would need to be shut down. It's a big concern of ours, obviously, with day camp and summer swim and all that. We don't want to close it down if we anyway can. So.
Yeah. And then a little bit of anecdotal feedback today. I was at the Calais Aragon park opening. I was talking to one of the moms, and they'd been standing there, for months watching the construction or however long it took, and she was saying how excited they were because previously the park was, I wouldn't say unusable, but it wasn't exciting, and so I think these park upgrades really bring people out when they weren't coming before, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. So many good things going on, and good to see us continue to reinvest in our community. I think I'm the semi-pickleball enthusiast, though I'm sure Mr. Audie's played a little bit or more. Actually, I am in the Monday night ladder class this month, the 8:10 start ladder class this month over at Margarita Park over there, Mike Nagar Park. So, I think with the pickleball, obviously the structure of the courts and the setup's important, but going from essentially 4 courts to citywide, I know there's something else on the south end, but it's not really a court. Anyway, to 21 is huge, and I think there's obviously a huge demand, as has been mentioned, so that's great. Also, I knew about the CRC splash pad, but I was over helping Human Services last summer when it was hot and seeing the play that the splash pad was getting at Mike Nagar Park. I think that's a great call. The dog park, just for my own information and benefit, is that new or is that a renovation at Mike Nagar Park?
I guess we can call it both. Really.
Kind of
it's,
between,
it's
yeah.
a relocation
Okay.
For a brand new one. So right now, if you go behind Margarita Park, there's a walkway that'll take you right behind, like where Target is, down to
Yes.
the shopping center. And so there is a dog park along that path. A lot of people don't even know about it, which it sounds like you're one of them. And it's not used. And so we were able to leverage some grant funds for that to pay for the new dog park and install it over there. And it's going to be quite a bit bigger and very visible, which I think is a key feature that will get a lot more traction there too.
And there is such a facility at the CRC as well, correct? There's a dog area back there. I know it's a popular dog walking place at least.
It's popular. There's no dog park back
Okay,
there though.
okay, got it.
There is a dog park at Red Hawk Community Park.
Oh, okay.
That's our other dog park.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I think I visited that park. We did a reopening there. One of our reopenings back in the fall. And then, yeah, just, my final thing would be just to kind of double up on what Commissioner Oddie suggested and Director Russo suggested as well, that there would be potential for this commission to assist. I mean, we know we're not to do the job of staff, but the one thing, that light bulb went off for me when we were talking about, when you guys were mentioning the trails and how the survey got pulled back, and I know that both Commissioners Castro and Oddie attended that first meeting, and so, you know, if you do want to bring in a commissioner to consult or run anything by us, we're certainly willing to help, if that's helpful to you guys, so.
If I may, so my role has kind of changed recently, where I'm more taking on more of an active role with CIP projects, especially what affect our department. And so one of the goals of that is to increase communication and really, you know, just to have make sure that our department's needs are being relayed properly. So I will give a commitment to definitely improve that communication and with your team as well.
We appreciate that. Thanks for being here tonight, Mike.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Great job.
Okay, so we are backtracking because we flipped the agenda. I think we are ready for division reports, correct? All right.
We have action minutes that need approval.
Minutes need approval. Okay, we can do that. So, Commissioners, we need to approve the action minutes from our February 12th meeting, correct? Can I get a motion on the floor to approve those minutes?
Motion?
Second?
A motion by Vice Chair Hawks, second by Commissioner Oddie.
Okay, I will take a roll call vote. Commissioner Castro?
Aye.
Commissioner Oddie?
Aye.
Commissioner, Vice Chair Hawks?
Aye.
Chairperson Kingsbury?
Aye.
The vote is unanimous. Motion is approved.
Thank you, Isabel, and thanks for keeping us on track. And that will take us now to division reports. All right, and first up we have recreation report, and is it Chamara? Are you giving that report? Did I say that correctly?
I will be doing the first portion of the report.
Okay,
Sandra.
Sandra has that. Okay, thank you, Sandra, appreciate it.
welcome. Since this is your first time here, both, if you don't mind just giving a brief introduction, your name and your position, and maybe how long you've been with the city.
Sure.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Sandra Garcia McLean, and I've been working for the theater for 3 years, and I'm there as a senior office specialist. And it's a pleasure to be here tonight.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Good evening as well. My name is Chamara Eniwo. I'm a senior recreation leader with the TCSD department in the Human Services Division, and I've been with the city for about 6 months now.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started with the Aquatics Division. They're currently hiring for water safety instructors for the summer of 2024. The aquatics team attended the Association of Aquatics Professionals Conference, and they attended some sessions that focused on hiring, training techniques, as well as drowning, prevention, and programming. And we also want to welcome Megan Orette as their new aquatics coordinator. Aquatics total impact was over 2,500. The aquatics team had training in February, and they reviewed in water rescue skills, which included passive, active, and spinal rescues. They're also trained on advanced care on the deck, which included administering oxygen and using IEDs. Contract classes had over 5,500 attendance for the month of February and held close to 300 classes. They offered performing arts as well as visual arts and enrichment classes for preschoolers, youth, and teenagers. The Community Recreation Center held in-person voting from March 2nd to the 5th. And Temecula is proud and excited to offer another year of summer camps. The next BMX Jam will be held on Saturday, March 9th, from 9 a.m. to 11, and it's open to children ages 17 and under. We want to give special thanks to Scooter Zone for donating prizes and giveaways. Teen Zone had over 700 participants. Middle and high school students are offered a $1 annual membership, which allows them to participate in several activities. Some of the highlighted activities included cooking, games, and crafts, and they also had a Valentine's Day party. The homeless outreach team had 13 street exits for the month of February with a year-to-date of 34. Throughout the month, SWAG connected with clients with residential programs to help them achieve sustainable independence. The outreach team completed their monthly collaborative meeting and were joined by SWAG, Code Enforcement, Temecula Valley Hospital, and Community Mission of Hope. The library was busy with over 18,400 participants in February. They offered several in-person programs and had displays to celebrate special occasions such as Black History Month and Valentine's Day. Their next event is scheduled for March 21st. The topic is the science of a solar eclipse. The sports division has begun their spring session, which includes youth baseball and softball. In addition, they will also offer adult softball, kickball, and baseball. Tournaments are scheduled to begin on March 2nd and will end on March 24th. Two parks had some facility upgrades in February. The Ronald Reagan Sports Park had new lighting installed in the baseball fields, as well as Mike Nagar Community Park had the hockey rink fencing replaced. And Public Works entered an agreement for live bee removal and relocation services. The Special Events Division had 2 ribbon-cutting ceremonies, one at Long Canyon Creek Park and the other one at Temecula Creek Trail Park. A total of 100 people attended the ceremonies, and their upcoming events for March include special games, as well as teen and Easter egg hunt. This concludes the first section of our report, and we're open to any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Appreciate all the information. Let's see if commissioners have anything they'd like to comment on or ask about. We'll start with Commissioner Adi on this one.
Sandra, thanks so much. Great presentation. I am not going to comment on anything. It's just always amazing to hear all the wonderful things that are going on. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Castro?
I don't have any questions either. Just thank you very much for the briefing, and I really appreciate all the work you guys put into getting this ready every month and providing us this information.
Vice Chair Hawks?
Thank you, Sandra, and welcome. Just one quick question, that for the BMX Jam, currently is that held at the skate park? Then during the renovation, are they going to be moved to a different location?
During the renovation, they'll probably just have to be postponed because we don't have another suitable location for them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, not too much on my end, Sandra. You covered pretty much everything. I just was pleased to see the voting being offered by the city. So that's great. I think that's appropriate that we do that. Also, your mention of summer camp, you know, reminds us that we're turning the corner here on spring. We're going to be past spring break pretty soon and moving towards summer. Things just continue to move along. Also, with the events coming up, there's some events that I haven't had a chance to be at that I'm looking forward to going to. I know the special games, I believe, is this Saturday, and I'm going to put on the calendar to definitely come by and check that out. So appreciate your division continuing to just create opportunities, you know, for people and worthwhile things. So appreciate it. Thank you. So now we're going to move on to the Arts and Culture Report. And Shamara, that's your division tonight, correct?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chairperson. We'll continue tonight's presentation with the Temecula Valley Museum. This past month of February 2024, the museum had several program events which had a total impact of over 2,000 experiences, which is a 17% increase over the 2023 February report. One program being the exhibit of the proud history of African Americans, black and white, images of dignity, hope, and diversity in America from January 5th through March 24th, with photographic images from John Johnson and curated by Douglas Keister. The museum also presents 2 visit recaps with the National Society of the American Revolution and the relatives of Axel and Doug Bolson. In the museum event recap, the museum hosted the Culture Day on the country of Vietnam. This event gave guests an opportunity to learn more about Vietnamese culture through history, food, and interactive activities such as crafts, a scavenger hunt, and an art lesson. Over 250 guests were in attendance. The Temecula Valley Museum hosted a gallery talk, Black History in Quilts, presented by textile artist Allison Allen. This presentation was followed by a Q&A session and a viewing of Allen's collection. 15 guests were in attendance. The Temecula Valley Museum hosted a history presentation titled Out of the Archives. Museum staff presented on history artifacts, including an item from the Vail Ranch family brand. This event had 22 guests in attendance. And in the curator's report, the museum staff received a donation from the granddaughter of Frida Knott. This donation was a stove and sewing machine from the early 20th century. In upcoming events for the months of March and April, the Temecula Valley Museum's ACE team will be hosting a Temecula art mural unveiling event on the Lunar New Year 2004, the Year of the Dragon. This event will take place on Wednesday, March 13th at 5 p.m. It was created by the students of the National Charity League, and all are welcome to attend. The Temecula Valley Museum will be debuting a new history exhibit showcasing young artists from the Temecula Valley Unified School District titled the TVUSD Student Art Showcase. And on Saturday, April 13th, the Temecula Valley Museum will be hosting their next Culture Day, celebrating Saudi Arabia with food, crafts, activities, and entertainment. Now onto arts and culture. The gallery at the Merck featured an exhibit titled Pedal Pushers by Bonnie Martlin, as well as an art gallery showcases at local facilities, including the Civic Center Gallery. The total impact for February 2024 was 160 experiences. Now moving on to the Merck. Starting with Showtime at the Merck, with a continuation of regular programming of the Merck series shows. Performances included classics, which saw a slight increase in sales, and jazz, stand-up comedy, speakeasy, and Brazilian jazz with sold-out performances. The Merck also welcomed Heart of Gold Productions as they presented 3 performances to celebrate American Black History Month. Below is the performance list with programs including the sold-out shows. The attendance report had 679 patrons in attendance for the 14 performances. Continuing our presentation tonight with theater. February at Old Town Temecula Community Theater was just as full of delightful performances as any of the longer months in the year, offering dance, straight plays, tribute bands, and celebrations of American Black History Month. The theater strives to present Temecula and its residents with high-quality variety of entertainment year-round. Below is a list of those performances, including a Queen concert and the Frog's Princess performance in honor of American Black History Month. On this next slide, you see a continuation in the list of performances. This past month of February 2024, the theater had a total of almost 5,000 guests and an outreach of over 70,000 people. Now onto community outreach. In 2024, the TCSD social media had several highlights, including reaching over 11,000 followers on Instagram, as well as releasing 16 promotional posts on Instagram and Facebook that had a combined reach total of over 47,000 views. Some highlights and completed projects include attending the 2024 California Parks and Recreation Society Conference in Palm Springs, as well as the Reading Across America program, where they filmed 9 city staff reading children's books and created a video for the program's initiative. The community outreach impact for February 2024 is over 107 views and over 60,000 reaches. Sorry, 60, yes. Now we will move on to our amazing Inclusive Services Division. At the MRC, the Youth Advisory Council had several program meetings, including a debate workshop where students learned an introduction to debate and were presented with topics to practice their knowledge. A sidewalk CPR and AED presentation by Emergency Manager Michael Alford on learning technique, mannequin practice, and running an 8-minute CPR simulation drill. Lastly, the group volunteered for the Skip Valentine's Day event by assisting with crafts. For Inclusive Visual Arts, they closed out their winter session with a showcase of their completed works for their family and friends to enjoy before the artists took their masterpieces home. And on Valentine's Day, Wednesday, February 14th, was the Skip Valentine's Day event, which marked their first event ever at the MRC and offered a variety of entertainment, including Valentine's Day cards and a card and treat exchange. Special thank you to CSD Commission Chair Kingsburg and Ready Commission Chair Faulkner. Continuing with the Inclusive Services Report, High Hopes hosted their first ever event at the MRC, their Valentine's Day event. The night entailed crafts, dinner, and music by DJ Jeff Waldleton. Special thank you to Ready Commission Chair Faulkner for attending, and the impact for February 2024 for High Hopes was 80 participants. This past month, the MRC was a vote by mail center beginning Monday, February 5th through Friday, March 1st. The center served as a ballot drop-off for the presidential primary election. During the month of February, the MRC was also honored to welcome a diverse range of visitors, including voters, seniors, special need adults, youth, and even council member Zach Swank. And lastly, the staff are eagerly preparing and anticipating the MRC open house on Saturday, March 23rd from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. with a showcase of our current programming and collaboration with community members on future programming and classes in the center. All are welcome to attend. We will now review senior services. The seniors have several program events, including an MPSC and MRC Silver Shuttle collaboration. Seniors enjoyed a guided tour of the new facility, activities, a wonderful lunch prepared by staff, and gave feedback on what program they would like to see at the MRC. We would like to thank TCSD Director Russo and Superintendent Barnett for attending the program. AARP Tax Aid program has begun and will be running every Friday from February 2nd to April 12th. This program has assisted over 50 households in the month of February alone, including some of our seniors at the Senior Center. The MPSC hosted a Valentine's Day party this past month, February the 8th. This event included a performance from the Senior Center Choir, as well as a special guest, CSD Commission Chair Kingsburg, and delicious appetizers were served and made by our staff. On Valentine's Day, Wednesday, February 14th, the seniors celebrated 5 birthdays. This birthday celebration was enjoyment with activities, sweets, and resources thanks to our sponsor, Royal Benefits Insurance. To continue in senior services, we hosted a senior talk, which was a presentation on fall prevention, hosted by our sponsors. 32 participants attended the event. On Wednesday, February 14th, the seniors received Valentine's grants donated by local Temecula schools. Also on Wednesday, February 14th, the seniors held a senior arts and craft session led by staff on scratch art. 10 seniors were in attendance. On Thursday, February 22nd, the staff ran the shuffleboard program with instructions on safety and gameplay. The shuffleboard program will be available Tuesday through Thursday. The MPSC is currently a warm center Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturdays when daytime temperatures are below 40 degrees. The total impact from this program in the month of February was 240 participants. Now finishing our review with workforce development. The Youth Innovators Program meets on Wednesdays from 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. The group held 3 meetings in February with an average of 13 high school students per meeting. Students facilitate youth programs and city events, including College Fair and the Young Women's Career Conference. Junior STEM held a meeting on Wednesday 7th with 26 middle school students in attendance. This meeting was facilitated by the Youth Innovators, and students learned the fundamentals of STEM and its concepts through presentations, demonstrations, and hands-on activities. For the Internship Fellowship Program, the City of Temecula's Workforce Development Department offers various internship opportunities for high school students and undergraduate and graduate college students looking to gain valuable experience in local government. There were 14 interns during the month of February 2024, and they are enrolled in serving in several different city departments, including community services and the city manager's office. For the externship program, available for high school graduates and current college students, there's 1 extern currently serving in the media department, and for the month of February 2024, the impact for workforce development was 54 participants. This concludes our full report. We are available to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Chamara. I appreciate it. We'll see if commissioners have any comments or questions. We'll start with Commissioner Castro.
Great job. Are you nervous?
A little bit. Thank you.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
Especially for only being here with the city for 6 months. It was very well done. I'm always amazed at how much work there's being done in inclusive services and the senior programs. And I think that, I'm a big believer in the saying, amateurs talk tactics, professionals talk resources, and you get resources by trumpeting your successes. And I think those are 2 programs that really can be pushed as successes when you see the amount of activity that are going on in those programs. And I just had one question. Does the city do any kind of recognition for Ramadan or anything, or do they find that there was done it in the past and there was no real participation?
We've never done anything as recognition of Ramadan, although we do include a celebration of Arab American Heritage Month as part of the federally recognized months that the city now recognizes.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Adi?
Thank you, Chamara. Great job. Well, they gave you like the big, long presentation. There were so many things going on. But I think, again, I always like to comment on just what we do for educating our community in terms of diversity and culture education. And obviously the arts is out there all the time, but then you bring those things together. I mentioned last month that I did get to attend the Cross the River Black History Celebration, and what an amazing story and talent at that event. I'm just hoping next year we do a much better job, get a bigger turnout. Really like to see us celebrate a little bit more here in our town with the wonderful diversity we have. So that said, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Adi. Vice Chair Hawks?
Thank you and welcome, Chamara. That's a full and a thorough report. I just have 2 quick comments or questions. One is, I saw picture of National Society of American Revolution. Can you explain a little bit?
Yes, I will explain. Let me find here in the notes. Oh, here it is. On Saturday, February 3rd, the Temecula Valley Museum staff members, Adam and Shelby, accepted a certificate from the National Society of the Sons of the American Revolution Riverside Chapter on behalf of the museum. The certificate presented by Flag Chairman Benny White recognizes the museum's exemplary patriotism in displaying the American flag.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
if I may, sorry. From what I remember from the museum, they received that recognition because in the rotunda, they have all of these flags displayed, and then there is one that's actually not the American flag with the full 50 stars, and they saw that that one was something that they thought was very patriotic to have, especially in the museum, and that's why they also wanted to go out of their way and recognize the museum for recognizing part of history.
Okay, thank you. And also, I recognize the picture of lifeguards posing, and I saw that video. Is that done by our internal department?
Mike Amori is our digital photographer. He puts all the videos together with the assistance of the division. So they are our actors as well. So that freeze video that you're talking about, that was popular, the mannequin video a few years back, and they recreated that. So that took a lot of coordination with the whole media team. They were out there, and Mike Mori is the videographer, cinematographer.
So is that trying to promote the hiring of lifeguards?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, very well done. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you again, Shamara. Again, just a couple comments. The museum just continues to impress and amaze as far as what they're getting done over there at the museum. Seeing those numbers up 17%. Look forward to the student art work coming in from the school district over the spring holidays. Also, the mural unveil on Wednesday. I plan on dropping by that, make sure we're represented there. You know, the numbers at the Merc, and I haven't been to the Merc much, or if at all, but 700 patrons in that small facility is great. The theater, 5,000. You know, again, this just shows what we're offering our citizens. I did want to double up with what Commissioner Castro said about the senior activities and the inclusive services, all the things you mentioned, Shamara. I mean, just a whole menu of things for people, so that's awesome. So again, appreciate your report.
Thank you.
Chair, I'd like to mention that normally on a holiday month, 5,000 patrons is usually what we get. Like 5,000 is a good number to hit. To hit it in February with a shorter month and is impressive in itself. And if Sandra, if you want to mention anything about the Merc, how we were able to place a play in there when normally it's a music venue, that also brought up the numbers.
Yeah, so we had 3 performances for the Black History Month, and it was a full house. So we had 70 patrons at each performance, which is the max. We're hoping to maybe have it on the main stage eventually, which will allow a lot more people to come in. There were some people that were turned away on the day of the event, but that was a full setup at the Merc. Usually we don't do a stage, but this was a smaller stage that was set up for that particular performance.
I actually got to see that performance, and it was packed. Like, they had as many chairs as, you know, the fire marshal probably should not have come in the building. It was absolutely slammed, and the talent was phenomenal. So it would be exciting to see that adapted for the main stage.
And I saw it as it incubated at Murrieta at one of their outdoor venues in Old Town Murrieta, and it was also well attended. Carol Hernandez is the producer of that. She's a very well-respected arts educator and VAPA employee with Murrieta School District.
Oh, great, thank you for sharing all that. Okay, I believe we go on now to our director's report. Director Russo?
Nothing for me this evening. I believe we have covered it all. So,
It was a busy month last month, for sure, to get us to tonight.
shortest month of the year, and you wouldn't know it by everything we did.
Exactly, exactly.
Can I ask one question? I saw that in one of the daily reports, there was something with the harvest and boat rental thing.
Yes, so Mike Wooten is actually in charge of that. So if he were here, he could provide a little more detail, but essentially, I think as everybody knows, we shut down the Harvest and Boat House last fall. We did a bunch of renovations over the winter, and then we put an RFP out for other, for respondents, for vendors who want to come in and reopen it as a boat rental facility. We're limited in terms of what we can offer because it is considered non-contact water because it's recirculated, which means we can't do anything like kayaks or stand-up paddle boards where there would be a high chance of contact with the water. But pedal boats, the pontoon-style boats, we can do. So that's what we're looking at doing. They've put the RFP out, and I believe it closes next week, and then we'll see who responds, and we'll pick a new vendor to come in and operate that building.
Do you think it'll be available this summer?
Oh, yes. Our hope is to have it open by early May.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Okay, we will now go on to our commissioner reports, and first up tonight will be Commissioner Audi.
I have absolutely nothing. Oops, that meant the word was nothing to add. Just another thanks to our division for the great work they're doing. Keep it going.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Audi. Let's go to Vice Chair Hawks.
I'll keep it short too. I drove by to the Long Canyon Park pretty often, and I saw a great big increase for the usage for that park, just how many families are enjoying the new toys. So that was really exciting. And then I plan to go to the teen egg hunt. I think you plan to be there too?
Yes.
Did you sign up?
Yes.
Yeah, so I like we have a calendar that now we can just sign up and know which commissioner will be there, so we can coordinate a little better. And last note is more of a side note that this Saturday, I participate in the Toastmaster International Speech Contest, and I won the area contest. So in 1 month, I will move on to division.
oh, congratulations. Yeah, very exciting.
Congratulations, Vice Chair Hawks, on that. Commissioner Castro.
I also don't have any comments. I was at the last art show at last Friday, I think it was last Friday. I liked the student art. That was really great. And otherwise, I concur with Gary. Let's keep up seems like things are on a pretty good roll.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Castro. I did note a few things I wanted to share. I'll try to keep it moving, but yeah, just a few new things I was able to do this last month. I think one of them was mentioned in the presentation, going by the SKIP program, and that was actually on Valentine's Day or Valentine's Day evening, and it was, I believe Yvette mentioned it was the first activity for the public that night, and got a chance to speak to the families that were attending there, so that was nice to see that in action. And then another new experience was on February 27th, it was the last afternoon, or the afternoon of the last city council meeting. I attended the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Subcommittee meeting at City Hall, and it gave me an opportunity to, just kind of take in the interaction between council members Schwenk and Alexander, who serve on that committee, with our staff, and the collaboration between them and both Community Services Department and also quite a few of the Public Works Department were there as well. And some of the updates we heard about tonight, like the Uptown Sports Park and the skate park, updates were given on that. So it was interesting for me to kind of take that in. And then I also wanted to mention, because I want to give a shout out to Ginger Safstrom, I went over on March 4th and was provided a tour of the library, a place I have certainly been, but not, in all the nooks and crannies. And you know, just walked away super impressed. I want to give Ginger a big shout out. She's doing a great job over there and was really welcoming and really showed me around. I'm just also impressed how the facility has aged so well. You know, it's 16, 17 years old. I mean, it doesn't look anything like that. You know, it looks like it's 4 or 5 years old, maybe at the most. So much going on over there with the story times. I learned about the management of it, the city's role, the county, and then there's a management system involved. We get a report in the library every month, but Ginger also shared there's generally over 100 volunteers a month that serve at the library. I think there was 109 in February, serving more than 900 hours. I did the math on what was shared tonight, and it looks like, you know, over 600 people a day on average visit, well over that. 65 new library cards last month. One thing in taking the tour that I learned that I did want to at least acknowledge publicly was that I learned that the Tech Homework Center, which has been a resource over the years for students and parents, has gone, what I understand, mostly unused this year. Apparently the school district has not staffed those hours on Monday through Thursday, and also in the afternoon, and also on Sunday afternoon. So we have to check back with the school district on that one and see what they can do to get that going, because it sounds like it's a resource that people were utilizing or have utilized and have counted on. And then finally, thank you to all the support from the department. They asked me to MC the park reopening this morning, and I was pleased to do it and set it up for me, and it was great. And also we had 3 council members there, which is, to me, impressive. I mean, our council members are very committed. You can see it to all the park reopenings. There's always multiple council members that are there. So kudos to the council for providing great representation at that. So that's my report for tonight.
Thank you, Chair Kingsburg. If I can just comment on a couple of those things. First of all, thank you for stepping into MC today.
Sure.
Totally appreciate that.
Sure.
I'm really glad you brought up the homework center. This has been an ongoing issue with the library and TVUSD. So for anyone who's not familiar, at the library on Pava Road, Ronald H. Roberts, Temecula Public Library, there's a designated area called the homework center. And when the building was built, we did so in an agreement with the school district as well as the county. Part of that agreement was that the city would provide this computer lab, and the school district would provide staff to operate it as a tutoring center and homework center in the after-school hours, Monday through Friday. And historically, they've done that. There were some issues over COVID, obviously, like with everything. And then post-COVID, they've had a hard time keeping that position staffed. So last year, I believe it was only staffed for a partial year, and this school year, they've not had it staffed at all. And we have been going round and round with the school district on this issue. They said they're having trouble filling the position at what they're paying, which I think a lot of us can have seen that oftentimes public agencies aren't able to compete with what, especially for entry-level positions, people can earn at other retail and hospitality type locations. However, it serves a critical role for the community. When it is open, it is absolutely jam-packed from the moment school is out to, you know, the moment the homework center closes. And for a lot of children whose families can't necessarily provide the academic support they need, being able to access a free tutor in the library is a critical resource for their academic success. So I would just urge any of you, I'm looking at 2 of you, who may have any sort of lingering connections with TVUSD, if you have a way to put a bug in anyone's ear. I did just email Assistant Superintendent Velez today. I know they had reopened the recruitment. At the beginning of May, we heard they had a good response, but I haven't heard anything since. So I did reach out to her today, and I'll let you know if I hear anything. But certainly, if you can convey the just the importance of this function, it would be fantastic. The community really does need it.
Well, thank you for sharing all that,
Thank you.
Erica. I appreciate it. Okay, well, that does conclude our meeting. We are going to adjourn this meeting at 7:43 p.m. Our next meeting is Monday, April 8th in these chambers at 6 o'clock p.m. Good night, everyone.